Hello everyone, and thanks for hanging out with me. Here I have the Volvo XC40, and let's pretend there's also a Volvo C40 and a Polestar too, because today I want to compare the cars, talk a bit what they have in common, what they have differences, what overall they're really great and overall that I'm not a fan about. And I do this because they're all on the same platform, they have the same motors and they have very similar spec. I mean, Volvo, Polestar, sister, brother company, whatever you want to call it. And I drove all of them in the last few months, so I can compare them a bit, and it's very interesting. Let's go through the specs a bit. You can have all three cars either with a small battery, 69 kilowatt hours gross capacity, or 78 kilowatt hours gross capacity. The net capacity is then 67 and 75, if I'm not correct. If I'm correct, the Volvos, you can only get the small battery with the single motor, front wheel drive, 170 kilowatt. The Polestar 2, you can have a single motor with the small battery, but you can have single motor with the big battery as well. All three are also available with all-wheel drive. Then you have 150 kilowatt in the front and in the back. The Polestar 2 already had a software update where you get even more power. I think it's then instead of 408, 467 horsepower or something like this. They are very similar inside when it comes to software and everything, and we'll go through that now. All three cars have Android Automotive software in here, and it's really good. You have automatically, if you go in here, you have Google Maps, you can install apps from the Play Store, and you have Spotify in here. It's all with the internal internet connection, no phone needed. Really awesome, it works really well. You have Spotify, you have Google Maps, you can have it in here, done really well. What's great with all three is that in the all-wheel drive version, it's great power. Like I said, 300 kilowatt in Polestar 2, even more. It really feels good. It comes in a very good way, no spinning wheels. The all-wheel drive version is awesome. Front wheel drive, you get a bit of tire spin when it's not perfect, and with all three cars, of course, because of that, you get not a very good turning circle. But it feels just amazing. Also great is the charging curve. They updated the charging curve with the last update. All three cars. Peak is 150 kilowatt. DC, AC would be 11 kilowatt. But the charging curve, I tested it in a different video. You can see it here. It's really well done. No start-stop button when you get into the car. Press the brake, put in the gear. Everything starts up extremely fast. I don't know, 2-3 seconds, if even, and you go. Awesome. And also when you stop, you just put it in P for park and get out of the car. All three cars are capable to receive over-the-air updates, and there have already been a few. Also, you get navigating to a high-power charger that the battery is being pre-warmed, so you get the best charging power. You get amazing one-pedal driving. You can turn it on or off, that's up to you. But if it's on, it's really great to a standstill, very strong. You can do it all with the accelerator pedal. And even when the battery is at 100%, then the friction brakes are simulating the regen from the motors. And again, it's really awesome. It feels great. Amazing driving feel. All three have a reasonable size frunk. You can really put your cable in, maybe even a bit more. What is it, 25 centimeters here and 20 centimeters down low here. What I love that not every car has is this lock via trunk button. So normally you can just close the trunk and that's it, but here when you press that, it will close the trunk and lock the whole car. This is amazing for a grocery store. You put your groceries in, or you get something out of the trunk, go into the grocery store, you just press that button, it closes the trunk and locks. You don't have to go, you get your key or go to the door and lock. Let's go through some things that are not so amazing to me. Very important, it's my personal opinion. You may have a different opinion, that's fine. There's no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay when you connect to your USB device. So if you want a different app, I don't know, Audible, I don't know, something else to play, you have to do it via Bluetooth. The screen is a bit small, and I would like it more in landscape than in portrait, but again, that's with everything. Everyone is different. The cars all over have a bit of a higher consumption, and I've seen it with all three cars, especially in the all-wheel drive version. So it's the motor that are not very efficient, because in just front-wheel drive the consumption is lower, especially in the Polestar 2. It was really impressive. But overall, they're not very efficient cars. The app for the cars is okay. I couldn't test the app for the Polestar 2 because in the press car I get one key, not both keys. They come with a car. And in the Polestar you can only use the app or connect to the app with your phone if you have both keys in the car. Both Volvos, it worked with just one key, so that was fine. But I think I've seen some videos, it looks the same. You just have three things you can lock, unlock, which is cool. You cannot see where the car is. You see your state of charge, and you can do scheduled charging, and you can preheat the car or put in a timer. Negative here with preheating the car, the cabin, is that you cannot select the temperature. It's always 22 degrees. So when it's cold, it's heating up, and when it's warm, it's cooling down to 22 degrees. So if you want it warmer or colder, tough luck. I also noticed in all three cars that the USB-C is not very powerful, so charging your phone takes very long. So in other cars, and I noticed that I get into the car in the morning, drive to work, that's 25-30 minutes, and I see how much the phone has charged in those 30 minutes. And in those three cars, it's not a lot. In other cars, I would say almost every other car that I ever charged on USB-C, it's way more powerful. The infotainment screen dimming, when it's dark, so when the light is on, there's here a button where you can do it. It's the infotainment system screen and the instrument cluster. You can dim them, but during the day you cannot do that. And when you have it in auto, it doesn't matter. The screen goes with the light sensor where it thinks, okay, it's dark. I put it in dark mode, and it's now light enough. It's in light mode, and then sometimes in the morning when it's in the middle, so on or off, it's way too bright, and there's no setting anywhere to turn that down. So it's way too bright. I'm not a fan of that. And we also get to the next problem. So in the instrument cluster, you can see that your light is on, but you cannot see if it's the daytime running lights or if it's your normal low beams. So you can set it here from auto to low beams or off or daytime running lights. You can set it here, but when you have it in auto, you don't know inside the car what lights are on. So if it's foggy, you do it yourself, but since I have the car for 2 weeks, I'm always like, is it really on? Is it working? Because it's foggy, I want the lights on in the daylight or when it's raining. That's a bit of a problem. I would like to see, okay, just the daytime running lights or the low beams are on. It would be nice to know. Now let's go through the differences of the three cars. I have my notes here. I could never remember all of this. Okay, XC40. XC40 and C40, like I said before, with the single motor you also get the smaller battery, so you get less range. The XC40 has the best view outside in the rear when you go in reverse, because the C40 has a very small window, and Polestar 2 as well. The XC40 has the highest consumption of them. It's the highest and the bulkiest. The seats of XC40 and C40 I find a bit better. I found that the Polestar had a very hard bump here, and it's not the lumbar support. I put it all the way in the back. It was a bit uncomfortable. Those seats here are really awesome. And the XC40 is the only one who has a rear wiper because of how the rear window is, but the button here, it's so weird to press. So they thought this is a button that you press and it stays on because you have interval every few seconds and you have always wiping. But I am someone wiping and then, I don't know, 2 minutes later again, and then it's a weird button if I don't need it. The C40 from all three cars, so I drove the Polestar 2 and the normal version and a performance version, and overall performance is for me horrible because it has a horrible hard sporty suspension. You feel everything, not comfortable, not my thing, I hate it totally. The C40 had the best suspension of all three cars. Polestar 2 with normal suspension is still okay. XC40 is sometimes a bit swimming, but on the edge, and C40 had the best for me. The C40 had the worst view from your rear view mirror outside in the rear because, I said it in the video, the height of the rear view mirror and where the rear window is in a way that you see very down, so you cannot see very far, and it's really bad on the highway. So for this to work, the rear view mirror would have to be lower, but then you cannot see in the front very well. And that's the next thing where C40, XC40 are good. So the rear view mirror is up, you can see very well. In the Polestar 2, because the car is a bit lower, the rear view mirror also goes down, and then if you want to see a light or something, you have to go under here. Let's get to the Polestar 2. It had roof handles on all four doors. The C40, XC40 doesn't have that. Like I said before, the button for home to get into your home screen is not a real button. Position of the play pause button is down here, also not very nice. I prefer it here in this cars. And in the Volvos you have a next song, previous song, you don't have in the Polestar. Polestar has the most power. That's also, Polestar is a bit more cramped. You sit a bit lower and you have the middle console here that puts you in like you're in a fighter plane. The phone, where you put your phone is worse, the worst in the Polestar 2, how you put it in, that you have space, because where the connector for the USB-C is. If you do wireless charging, it's no problem, but if you still use cable, then Polestar is the worst. The Polestar was the only one where the steering assist, so self-steering, could be activated on the steering wheel with the arrow button to the right. I saw it work at an XC40 once when I was invited to the media drive, but since then I had the C40, XC40, all-wheel drive, and XC40 here, front-wheel drive. It doesn't work. I have to go into the settings, driving, and then steering assist. Only then I can have that, and that's annoying. The Polestar is also the only car of those three who tells you the range in the instrument cluster. In the other two, you can have it here in your infotainment system. It can be something different, but you can have it here, or you can ask Google. You can say, hey Google, what's my range? The range display in all three cars is very bad, not very accurate. It only goes up and down in 10 kilometers increments, and it's not, like I said, not very accurate. They're more focused on the state of charge. And one thing that I really dislike about the Polestar 2, very personal opinion, is the blinker sound. In the Volvos you have a normal blinker sound, not too loud, normal sound. In the Polestar 2 I always describe it as an old record player, where vinyl, where it got stuck. And it's horrible. I hate that so much. I noticed that I'm not blinking if I don't have to, and I stop it immediately if I say, oh, I'm already in that lane, I don't need it anymore. Ugh. That's just my opinion. Of course, everybody has their own opinion. In my personal opinion, I prefer the Volvo C40. It was the best mix for me, where I like stuff or dislike stuff. It's not a perfect car. No car is perfect, but the Volvo C40 gets very close. All-wheel drive, of course. I want my 300 kilowatt. Just amazing. But that's it for me. Thank you much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.